Hello and welcome to In the Weeds. We're recording live from the Picky Weeds Esoteric Occult Boutique, located just south of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, in beautiful South Abington Township. Picky Weeds is the largest and most diverse boutique of its kind in Northeast Pennsylvania, with an increasingly wide variety of items for many traditions.
In addition to items for sale, Picky Weeds hosts a wide variety of classes, events, and community-driven gatherings throughout the year. Picky Weeds is located at 105 Layton Road, South Abington Township, PA. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More information can be found at www.pickeyweeds.com. That's PICKEYWEEDZ.com, or on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. In the Weeds is the official podcast for Picky Weeds, where we strive to bring the community together with topics of interest, guest speakers, and informative discussions to benefit the entire community.
If you'd like to be a guest speaker, either live or remote call-in, please visit www.pickeyweeds.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, find In the Weeds podcast guest application, click it, copy and paste the text into an email with your contact information, and send it to us at pickeyweeds@gmail.com.
Now let's get in the weeds.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. Season 2, episode 15.
God.
And it is Sunday for us, so it's the last day of the week in our world. So we're usually off Monday and Tuesday, but we will not be here Wednesday because we will be celebrating Beltane for us, Beltane for some, Beltane for others, May Day for others, however you phrase it, however you celebrate it. That's where we're going to be celebrating spring in the woods by a bonfire with friends, and that's something we both, I think, need direly. Mm-hmm. It's time in the woods. Yeah.
Forest therapy.
So today we're going to touch on a pain point. We're going to talk a little bit about how we celebrate the holiday later, but we're going to touch on a pain point. It's a question we get a lot. Like, my entire world feels negative. My house feels so negative. I feel like there's a negative energy just crushing me, surrounding me. I feel like there's something bad attached to me. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that? Where do you start, John?
Oh, we get those questions like at least every other day.
Oh my God.
It's a very common, especially this year when, I don't know, don't look online.
Yeah,
don't look at the news.
Yeah. Don't watch triggering things. Make your TikTok feed what mine is: puppies, bears, birds that talk dirty. Keep it light, folks. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, and a lot of it is your state of mind too. But one of those things to get into that state of mind where it's peaceful is to make your home a sanctuary, right?
Yeah, the second most basic need in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is safety.
What the hell is Maslow's hierarchy?
So it's a psychological look at what the actual basic human needs and what the aims are. So the end being, transcendence, but on his chart, it's actually self-actualization. And I think, I don't know that if I've ever met a truly self-actualized person in my life. I see people hit it from time to time, and I think we all do. Like, we get there, we just get there, but we can't seem to hold the line. We get stuck in, I think, number 3 on the chart, where that need for love. And that need to appeal to people for love. And I think all of us fail there and get stuck in what we look like to other people, instead of being very true and authentic to ourselves and our own mission. And I think it's a trap we all fall into, because I don't think there's a single human walking that doesn't want at least one person to love them and not to think ill of them.
Yeah, despite what they say, the posting of the memes.
Yeah, I don't need
give
you.
A fuck what you think. I'm like, you're human.
It's a desire. It's innate.
Not a failing.
Yeah.
It's a failing if it becomes your only means of existence.
Yeah, God.
But yeah, everybody has that. Nobody wants to be hated or looked down upon or whatever.
And I think that people forget that the whole point of his theory is that you are self-actualized when you realize that you're here, and that there's unity. that you should be desirous of. You should be desiring to be one with your entire community and to be of help. Like Mr. Rogers might have been the only self-actualized person. Yeah.
Look for the helpers.
Yeah, and it's just this amazing thing to see when you watch one of those people operate out here in the world. And I hope, like I said last week, I hope for God's sakes I'm never wrong about Mr. Rogers, because it would destroy me.
Yeah, we've been wrong about so many.
Yeah, oh my God.
But so basically, to sum it up, is the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's you've taken care of the things that would cause you worry, anxiety, stress. Like, am I gonna have enough money for food?
Am I going to be able to eat?
Am I going to be able to pay the rent? Am I going to be able to put gas in my car?
Yeah.
And those are real concerns right now.
Survival, then safety, then love, then the self.
And once you have those at least under control, then you can focus on the more
Goodness gracious, Bella.
the more spiritual. I thought that was you drinking out of your cup.
No, I didn't even have it in my hand. That was Bella.
But you can focus on the more spiritual things. Like, it opens your mind up, once you can put that anxiety and stress to bed, so to speak, or at least until the next paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
until the next need arises.
The next bill
that's
comes
a little
in.
more pressing.
You get to that wonderful moment in between bill cycles and pay cycles when you're like, everything's paid and I'm good. And it lasts for like 3 days. But hell, those are great 3 days.
But here's the thing I found. People think it's great when people are wealthy, but I found that they argue more about the money. So it just gives them something else to argue about, like, how are we going to spend it?
Yeah.
And that turns into some of the most heated, vitriolic, hate, rage-filled sessions I've ever seen.
The closest we come is, if I won the lotto, there would be signs, and here's what I would do.
There will be an island.
In international waters. We've seen the 1970s version of Wicker Man, so that's the theme we're going for.
That's going to be us, But you're working with things that are, there's so much of your biology and your negativity and your fears that fighting that is a constant fighting the tide until you figure out the balance point for yourself. And most people never do. And I want you to stop trying so hard. And in that home where you have to be every day after work, that should be sanctuary, guys.
Yeah.
That should be no toxic person is allowed here. No negative activity is allowed to be in my space, because this is my sacred sanctuary. This is safe space. So you're going to want to go in that house and set it up so that every time you pass north, south, east, west corner in your house, there's something there that raises your vibration, that makes you happy when you look at it. I tell people to set altars in those corners, but a lot of you have family coming over and friends coming over who just do not understand. And you've not gotten to the point that some of us are at, where we don't care if you understand.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to spend the whole visit, trying to
defend your position.
Explain. There's another damn business to begin with.
No, it's not.
So that's what you're saying, is put something there that's a little bit more obscure or benign to the muggle.
Yeah,
the muggle gaze.
Yes. Something that just reminds you of a great time you had, a beloved family member, that always made you laugh or smile, a beautiful piece of artwork or crystal, that sits right there in that corner, so that when you pass those points in your house, north, south, east, west, and center, you are passing something that reminds you of a happy time. And that raises your vibration, and in turn, it raises the vibration of the energy in the air around you in that home. And in doing that, you dispel a lot of negativity. Now, there are other ways that you can deal with getting the negativity out of your house first. There's a myriad of ways. Where would you start, John?
I like the old Florida water in the mop bucket.
Yeah, I do too.
And it doesn't take much. Just a little dash in the mop water, and then the old way we used to use brooms to cleanse a house. And sweeping everything out the door. Same thing with a mop bucket.
Oh yeah.
Start in the middle and work your way towards the door and mop that bad juju right out the door, right outside.
I like that.
It's symbolic in the action of mopping or sweeping. And the Florida water hits your, aromatherapy checklist.
Yes, it does.
And makes you feel better. And Florida water is very good for that too.
It's kind of psychoactive too.
Yeah. I mean, it's an essential oil, but I mean, it's intended, it's one of its uses, right?
Yeah.
So I like that a lot, because then you have it's not just sweeping, you have the lingering scent of, because Florida water is strong.
Yeah.
You have that lingering scent, and it reminds you, like, yeah, I banished this bitch.
Yeah, I took care of this.
It's clean. This is my space. This is where I'm home. It is so important to have.
And for you new school people that don't have mops and mop buckets, there's nothing wrong with a Swiffer sweeper. Okay, you can take your Swiffer and spray that thing down with your Florida water and do your walls and your ceilings and your floor. It's amazing. I even clean the fronts of cabinets with a Swiffer.
Did you see the TikTok where they put the smudge stick and the tourmaline on top of the Roomba?
No!
And it was going around. Hey.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's the high-tech version, I guess.
Put a little clear quartz point in the middle of it, make it a little grid, set it off through your house.
Put some googly eyes on the front of it and let it rip.
Scary googly eyes scare away all the bad juju. Yeah, people ask this all the time. There's so much you can do. It can do it, from a point of changing yourself, your inward thinking through meditation and through the way that you speak to yourself.
That's one of the hard things.
It is hard. That's the hardest thing, our self-talk, because I'm so judgy of me, it's not funny.
Yeah, well,
I'm critical.
We're a product of our time and circumstance and the environments we were raised in. Our parents weren't of the boomer generation. They were silent generation. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way they raised us.
You don't talk about it.
It's they didn't have a lot of pity parties.
No. It was a failing. It was seen as a failing.
And which in and of itself is a failing, because, so many people of our generation are afraid of therapy, or they're afraid of the stigma. They're afraid of looking weak, looking like they made the wrong decision in public. Mm-hmm. And it's, you get hit with, bad luck, right? And so many people, I get these questions a lot too. Like they think it's some kind of entity attached to them that's to blame for their bad luck. And I suppose it's possible. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's not.
It's usually not the case.
Who am I to say that, right? But at least in my opinion, it's more likely just a cycle of bad luck. And look, I've lived that. You've lived that. We've known so many people that are living it right now.
Yes.
And it's so hard when you have, what feels like insurmountable failure.
Yeah.
And like everything you touch turns to shit. And everyone that you trusted turns out to be full of shit.
Yeah.
And you just feel alone, and you get lost in that emotion, and you think that there's no end to it. But as our grandparents and parents would say, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
It does get better.
I think they were worried about the talking about it too much in some vein. I think they were wise enough to know. I think that they took it too far. Don't talk about it at all. I think their fear was that if you talked about it too much, it became part of you, and that you couldn't break the cycle. And so you don't speak it into existence, because the more you say something, the more people believe it. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing with the media. The more something's repeated, no matter how false or how freaking crazy it is, the more people are going to believe it if you just keep repeating it.
Well, yeah, that's
I think
also
they were terrified of that.
A failing of being raised by the generation too. I mean, there's a lot of good things too.
Oh,
I think the good outweighs the bad, but that is another failing in that we were raised with an appeal to authority.
Yeah, and that's
You're seeing a generation now that was not raised with an appeal to authority, and the older generation doesn't know what to do with that.
No,
because it doesn't fit their expectation.
Yeah, my parents' appeal to authority, I think, ultimately killed them.
Oh, it's maddening.
Yeah, they believed everything that doctor told them. They trusted the police. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. The bad things that happen to them because of that fallacy of logic there. And it's something that you really got to work on internally. He was saying a while ago about people being in circumstances of consistent cyclical bad luck. Well, at that point, what my parents would have said to me is stop and take a look at the choices you're making.
Yeah.
and who you're allowing to take up space in your life, because you are ultimately responsible for the life that you have and the luck that you draw.
Yeah, everything's a choice.
Yeah, so you need to
Everything.
look at the people you're surrounding yourself with, and you shouldn't. And this can lead to another. And so this is why life is so hard. This can lead to another gap in reasoning, because if you only surround yourself with people of like mind and don't challenge your belief systems, you are limited to that one set of beliefs and that one set of, okay, all right, so I'm only going to surround myself with higher-minded, idealistic people.
Well, look at the leadership that does that. That surrounds themselves with people who just say yes.
Yeah.
Instead of
The yes
surrounding
men,
themselves with people who will challenge you.
them.
You can respectfully challenge your boss.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, toxic.
No.
You can just, there's ways to do it and ways to approach it.
But I don't understand.
Yeah.
I thought it might work better this way. I'm not sure how you feel about it.
And they probably won't listen, and they probably won't. But that's okay. You voiced it, right? And that was.
You don't have to be confrontational, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but before you come up with an idea, you should probably have some experience in the field.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you're never going to be taken seriously.
No.
Somebody who's been on the job for a year, nobody's really going to. You haven't really, you might have learned the procedures, but you might not know the ins and outs of everything about that role. And for you to start giving advice to people could be taken,
And I think you can apply that to day-to-day life too. I honestly think you can with your preconceived notions.
That doesn't mean that just because of your age or your experience level, you don't have a valid idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that the person who has authority is less likely to take that in hand, unless that you have a proven track record of being right in moments where you had to make split decisions.
And those persons usually have their own confirmation bias battle to deal with too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God, because they have this title, but they also, with the title, and don't get it in your head that the man is the man just because he has the title. He or she also has a lot of responsibility on their shoulders.
Oh God.
And they have a metric they have to keep for whomever their leader is, their boss, whoever is looking over their shoulder. And they usually have to conform within standards, legal standards, and standards put forth by their human resources department. And so if they see you leaning in a controversial way, their job is literally to pull you back to center and get you back on board with the corporate language, with the corporate ideology, and pull you back into culture. Mm-hmm. And we both know that, having come from two high corporate positions. John was security risk management. I was facilitation learning team. So we got the insider's view at a lot of the negativity that goes on in there, and a lot of the legalese and the crafting of speech that was literally cringeworthy, that we had to push as a mantra to the entire operation, to the entire corporation, from the top down. And so anybody that stepped outside of that was seen as a threat to the corporation. So that's how this works, guys. So you're sitting in your office and you're thinking your boss is a monster. Mm-hmm. Think beyond that. It helps you a lot to think beyond the monster.
From their perspective.
Yeah, from their perspective. What kind of pressure is on their neck?
Yeah, that kind of emotional intelligence will serve you a long ways, and to put your own ego aside and to see the bigger picture. And I think, at least my career transition from line employee, I was always, my first job was a stock boy in a shoe store.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's not counting the farm work and all that stuff. Like your
first outside
W-2 payroll job
Yeah.
Was, you know, the lowly stock boy in a shoe store of all things. But, you know, it gives you perspective. And when you have different perspectives, it changes your perception of things.
Absolutely.
Like you see things on a broader scale than maybe, you know, in my mid-50s, I see things completely differently than I saw in my mid-20s.
Oh, my God, yeah.
When I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about anything. And then when you move past that, and it's not just age so much, but like life experience. Right. And so going from a line employee, and then I managed to get up to middle management in retail. Okay, so there's that experience, good or bad. And then start all over again as a bottom rung employee in another organization, and, you know, like the prison system and worked my way up into mid-level supervision there. And in each position gives you a different viewpoint.
It really does.
And it's one of the most difficult things is to be one of the grunts for so long, and you've developed these working relationships, these working friendships, and then you're promoted.
You got the employee mindset.
And you have to be able to take that and get away from the employee mindset, but not to the point where you lose empathy for the people that you used to work with.
Yeah. That
probably covered your ass.
And they're still gonna come at you.
And you still have to show, that you can lead.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And I've done that 2 or 3 times, transitioned into a leadership role where last week we were cutting jokes and talking about
smoking cigarettes out by the gate.
Talking about each other's mothers at the smoking area.
Yeah.
And now this week I've got, stripes or bars on my collar, and I have to temper that a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
And it's hard because you're going to automatically lose face with the people that you were with because they're automatically going to assume that you become a company man now. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to overcome that while still fulfilling your responsibility.
It's maintaining your metric.
It's a tough line to walk.
It really is.
And I think it's always easier. I've seen a lot of organizations where if you promote, they change your shift.
Yeah.
Like they take that pressure away from you.
That's smart.
And put you in a completely new role, a completely new group of people that you probably know them, but you've never worked, unless you worked overtime, side by side with them. So the transition's a little bit easier. It's still tough, but it's a little bit easier. And I see a lot of people that get in those leadership roles that become too one way or the other. They become too soft and their leadership sucks, or they become little Napoleons and forget all about the people that were there for them.
Absolutely.
Both
driven by the dollar.
You gotta kind of walk that Johnny Cash line.
Yeah.
Walk the line
because you're mine.
And it's really hard. It's really hard. That's why it's always better to get a better. You see, my resume is one big job hop.
Yeah.
Because you have trouble getting ahead in the company. Okay, well, you're not going to pay me. You keep putting extra work on me for the same money. I'm going to look. I never stop looking.
Yeah.
And so you find a role that pays better, or, whatever. It's better for you, better hours, closer, whatever. And you move to that one. And then that one becomes stale after a while. They start taking you for granted and don't want to listen and don't,
Yeah.
You move to the next one. And I think a lot of people do that. And, our generation of parents frowned on that.
Yeah.
They believe that you should be loyal to the company. You should stay with, and you see the average seniority, 30 years plus working for the same company. And,
But they had a pension. Most of us don't.
Oh, I don't know anyone with a pension.
Yeah, I don't either anymore.
And the 401k thing that they offer is useless.
That's a scam.
It's useless.
Up one side and down.
You're much better getting your own broker, your own financial advisor, and doing it yourself.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a scam by the corporation. I'm saying it's a scam.
No.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's one of those things that is so unbelievably, chaotic to figure out. I mean, and they say, put a lot of it in the safer stocks. What's safe these days?
No, there's nothing. Nothing is safe. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You may have some lower risk.
Yeah.
But I think you're much farther ahead getting with a professional yourself. Mm-hmm. And finding the right financial professional for you that fits you.
Passive income streams.
It has your goals in mind.
Yeah.
And shop around. It's just like finding a good doctor. Maybe they tell you something, you go, what?
Yeah.
Or they're not listening to you and they're not doing what you want to do, then find someone, not necessarily a yes person, but someone that can explain the position a little better. Maybe, I don't know. It's your money. Do what you want. But 401ks, and in our experience with the financial turmoils that we've lived through in the past 30 years of investing, it's just... Yeah. I don't have any faith in them personally.
So these are the negative mind traps we all fall into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this is part of it. This is part of it because it's life. It's everyday life. And at some point in time, when you've been through the downfall of, say, 2008, like we were, and lost everything. I mean, we lost everything.
Yep.
All of our savings, both of our jobs.
And all of our friends went through the same thing.
Yeah.
They had the same issues.
Yeah. Ended up on unemployment.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody.
I was already independent, so we ended up on one unemployment for 3 people.
Yeah.
So it's like you feel like your world is ending. But I got to tell you guys, there's always a way up and out. It sometimes is really, really hard, and sometimes the path is not well defined, and you have to work through things to get there. But there's always a way out. You just got to not give up, and you got to look at it. And it's like looking at your situation with all the toxicity in your life and all the negativity in your life. The self-talk is what we're talking about. The reason we get this negative self-talk in our head is because we're inundated with it daily. We're inundated with it at work. We're inundated with it in the media. We're inundated with it in traffic. You're inundated with it when you're standing in line at the grocery store. Everybody's anxious, angry, and the negativity is just, oh my God, it's like a quagmire you're swimming through, or quicksand.
Or you have the opposite, where you run into toxic positivity.
Yeah, toxic positivity is far worse.
Everyone sticks their head in the sand,
Yeah.
and you go, oh, no, this is great.
Yeah, because you can't attain that, and
you
you
don't
can't
wanna see
maintain
it.
it or sustain it, I should say.
Yeah, it's a happy medium.
Yeah.
Moderation in all things.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
never one or the other completely, and trying to maintain that balance. And I think maintaining that balance is one of the hardest things to do. But
Yeah.
if you can at least get close,
Yeah.
you're going to be a lot further ahead psychically, mentally, emotionally.
And you hear me talk a lot about perception versus perspective in life. And it's a huge deal. And people, I don't think they even recognize that there is a different perspective. So you get locked into your idealism. And you get locked into, okay, this is my perception, so this is how it is. Your perception is clouded by your own biases,
Yeah.
And the biggest one is confirmation bias, because you're literally, without knowing it, your brain is looking for things that you can agree with. And your brain is telling you things you should disagree with because of your experiences in life or the people that you surround yourself with. So once you've seen it and you go, oh, that's ugly, I'm not going to be that. That's ugly. You don't look any deeper. And folks, if we don't change perspective and look a little deeper, we're never going to truly know what's going on.
It's like we're all trying to be that boss that surrounds themselves with the yes people.
Yeah, exactly.
And usually the
It's
future,
human nature.
The future of that plan is disaster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because no one's going to tell you what you're doing is going to lead to failure, because they don't want to make you mad, or they want to hurt your feelings, or they just want to agree with you so they can move on with their day.
Yeah.
It's too much work to argue with you.
And like my daddy said this, your daddy probably said it too. Sometimes you got to dance with the ugly.
Yeah.
You're never going to understand
That was
it.
Miguel.
Yeah. Sometimes you're never going to understand it until you've danced with the ugly. You got to face the ugliness. And sometimes, guys, I'm going to be as honest with you as I possibly can. And sometimes the chances I took, the things that I most feared, turned out to be the most beautiful experiences for me and some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the philosophical discussions that I've had with people on 2 wheels that look like they would kill your mama, kill your daddy, kill your puppy dog, were some of the most brilliant people I've ever had the honor to sit with around a campfire.
Convicts.
Yeah.
You know how much I learned?
Insanely brilliant.
You know how much brilliance is locked up on bullshit laws?
Yeah.
Bullshit laws.
Yeah.
And fucking brilliant. What a fucking waste of human spirit to throw that away because of some Nancy Reagan drug law.
It's mind blowing, isn't it? The loss.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're going to try to play you every second of every day. That's just the convict way.
Yeah.
And once you know
oh my God, they will. Yeah.
Once you know that and you don't forget that, you can have some really good conversations.
They've mastered
just recognize when you're being played.
The manipulation game.
And look.
They sound like something out of, what is it, the 48 Laws of Power?
Oh, these folks are the best.
They're amazing.
The best.
It's like, but they're shitheads.
But when you actually gain some respect, and respect is a currency in there.
Yeah.
Right. Respect is not doing what they want all the time. Respect is not being an authoritarian douchebag.
Yeah.
Respect is being a human.
Yeah.
With all your failings and everything, just being honest. emotional honesty, and when you actually have a connection like that, there is so much you can learn, whether it's from an inmate, whether it's from another person on the street from another religion, or someone who believes completely opposite of you.
Yeah.
Their viewpoint, though some of them may be flawed, you still have something that you can take from that. And it's eye-opening. You'll walk away going, I thought that dude was a complete idiot, but here they said something that stumped me.
Yeah.
And it makes you pause and it makes you think.
Or you had a 3-hour dissertation on a book by Carl Sagan with a guy that looked like, he just stepped off the rock, It's like, or
you never ever judge a book by their cover. Never judge someone by their financial position. Never judge anybody, honestly, because
well, right after right after the downfall of 2008, I was working a guard check post at Honeywell with 2 PhDs.
Yeah.
Who were absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant.
And they were just bored, wanted something to do.
No, they couldn't get work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they couldn't get work, and it was like
that's true for a lot of college educated folks.
Yeah, they were amazing,
and it's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Because they've gone hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And they have the skills and they have the ability, but no one will give them a chance because they haven't got any experience.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to get experience if you won't fucking hire them?
I never will forget the one guy was like, why did I get a doctorate in philosophy? How is that serving me now?
Well,
but he was brilliant.
I would definitely look at somebody like
that.
I
would too. First.
And those are the kind of things that you find the right employer or hiring manager, they're going to look beyond a job description. That's a rookie HR move.
Yeah, really.
When you have to do the check marks on every job duty, because most of these hiring managers, they put in an insane amount of qualifications in there. Like their dream candidate, MBA, PhD, must have 16 years of experience, must know all these computer languages.
$16 an hour.
$16 an hour.
Like what?
Dude.
Are you insane?
You need to go, check into Narcotics Anonymous because you're high as fuck if you think you're going to get anybody like that. But they do that. But it takes an intelligent person in a hiring management role to go, okay, we put 4-year degree required. However, when I spoke to this person, they were articulate, they were smart, they were a go-getter. They were confident without being arrogant, and they're going to be a self-managed person. Like they're really going to push.
Prime example of changing perspective.
Oh yeah, and that's who I want to hire.
Yeah,
right. I don't want to hire somebody I have to micromanage. That's not fun for me.
Yeah,
I want to hire somebody that I can go, here's the goal. Here's where I think we might be able to reach the goal. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Can we come together on this? Or do you need more guidance? Or can we, a manager's role should be there to help. Yeah. To be there in case shit hits the fan. If you have questions or you need guidance, other than that, hire people that are smarter than you and get out of the fucking way.
And don't get the wrong idea about HR because they're not there for you.
No, they're there for the company. Yeah. Absolutely. That's their line of defense. Mm-hmm. And look, I'll look at it as a business owner.
Yeah.
You see it from a different perspective.
You honestly do.
Whereas an employee mindset, I was like, HR is the fucking enemy. But then when I got into higher level management, okay, no, they're badasses that know legal and they're real tight with the legal tower, and I can talk to them and get advice on the best way to proceed to protect the company.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's what you do as a corporate person. That's your role.
I remember having to insert all that HR and legalese into every class that I taught. And thinking, oh my God, you think this is great, and you're not seeing the rights that are being yanked right out from under you as an employee.
And you're remembering.
It looks lovely, doesn't it? It looks lovely, sounds great on the surface. Sounds like that you're being good to the client when they're calling in. Oh no, they're controlling the client that calls in too.
And you're remembering your 20-year-old self and how you would react to that.
Yeah.
Like these fucking assholes.
Yeah.
And you're the fucking asshole.
And then you're the fucking asshole. 20 years later going, how do I protect myself legally? How do I foresee events that might occur between clients and employees and make sure I subvert that activity? How do I do that?
Yeah.
Change your perspective, guys.
We all get locked into that too. And it's easy to.
Yeah.
It's easy to get locked into a manager one too, where you forget about the people.
It's a biological imperative if you really break it down to what it is. I mean, it was, it's part of your biology as, this mammal, poor monkey with anxiety that we are, to protect yourself. And so cognitive bias actually protected you from threats, outsiders, monsters.
It's tribal.
Yeah.
And we automatically tribe.
Well, even animals do it.
Yeah, we automatically tribe.
Yeah.
And
we're animals.
That's another prison, thing. You can see it immediately. They automatically tribe.
Yeah, and the only way you're ever going to grow is if you change perspective and drop your biases for a second and look beyond what that person is presenting or saying. They present themselves in a certain way for protection. That's one of the first laws. They're going to present themselves as bigger. Like when a bear comes at you, you try to make yourself bigger and louder and sound mean, and that's normal. That's normal human behavior. But if you're a profiler, you step aside of that and try to look at the backside or the dark or the light side of this person. You're trying to find their weaknesses and you're trying to track the way they might actually be thinking and why they're thinking that way. And you can't do that if you're locked in your own cognitive bias. This is just an asshole. It's just an idiot. Is it? Is there something more there?
Yeah, or is
What's
it a feint to draw you out, like a boxing match?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look at his left hand while the right one catches you right in the jaw. Yeah.
Don't concentrate on the finger.
Yeah, or you'll miss all the heavenly glory. Bruce Lee.
But and I think that perspective is really important. And the more changes you go through life and the different roles that you take, even if it's the same role in a different capacity or a different organization, it's still, and now you have new players.
Yeah.
You have new players on the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this person about? What is their agenda? And you have to figure all that out really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get judged really quickly.
Yeah, you do.
Your first couple weeks in any role, you're going to be judged.
But the basic structure is pretty much always the same in corporate culture.
Yeah.
And then you're just dealing with new isms.
Yeah.
New ideologies, new isms. You're dealing with them trying to be a different culture, but they think adding a ping pong table makes a new culture.
Or a pizza party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's still the same structure. Yeah. And everybody at the outside, on the fringe edges, and especially the owners, are looking for the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they're looking for return on investment.
Return and ROI.
Too.
Yeah.
Here I'm paying my employees, X amount of dollars. What am I getting out of it?
Exactly.
It's not just that you're providing a job for someone, but what is the benefit?
Yeah.
How is that helping the organization on the whole?
Absolutely.
You have someone who's slacking or trying to duck, leaving earlier, calling off all the time, and there's a dollar amount to that.
Yes.
And when you're thinking from a business standpoint, or especially a business owner, that's a loss.
And speaking from the hierarchy of needs, we're on that. I think that's the level where you need to be loved and you want affection and attention. When you're in this world and you're in that corporate cubicle, in the middle with everybody else, and then you move to the office on the west side, you're going to lose a lot of people and you're going to lose a lot of adoration and a lot of love because you've now switched sides. You play for a different team. You're the man now. Mm-hmm. And you have got to learn to be okay with that. And that way you can find some self-realization in there and move up a level towards self-actualization. That's the hardest thing for any of us to do.
It's really difficult.
It hurts so bad that the people that you really thought understood knew you would be happy for you when you succeeded.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. They're not. They want to know what they can get out of it.
Yeah.
Can I leverage our friendship so that I get special treatment or,
every damn day.
The good
But that's
posts.
normal too.
Yeah. And they're going to, everybody's an opportunist then.
Don't take that personally. That is common human behavior.
It is.
It's common.
Yeah.
It's common. And if you take that personally,
You're probably locked into an emotional
Yeah.
mindset
Yeah.
of, where you're at.
and you're only hurting you.
Yeah.
And you're only stopping your rise.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you have to broaden it, and you have to be able to look at it. I think emotional intelligence is probably one of the most valuable
I think it is the most valuable
traits
intelligence
that you can
trait.
develop
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
going to allow you to see, literally put yourself in other person's shoes. And okay, what are their pain points?
Yeah.
If you really want to succeed in the corporate world or
Mm-hmm.
really any business venture, you have to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and drop your ego.
Yeah.
Okay, so my boss is a dick, but what do they really want? How can I get them to stop micromanaging me? What are their pain points? And you just pay attention for a little bit, and you'll see what gripes them the most.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you kiss their ass, but here's one sure way, and you start becoming a performer in their mind,
Absolutely.
and then you start having trust.
And our corporate mantra was what? Don't bring me problems.
Bring me solutions.
Absolutely.
Have 2 or 3 solutions to the problem ready to go.
Yeah, you can bring the problems,
that
but
are
you
viable.
better be ready to help solve them.
Yeah, don't just come
Yeah.
up with some bullshit. Make sure they're viable. And all 3 of them are probably going to get shot down. That's not the point. The point is that they're going to go, well, damn, Tay brought me 3 different ways. I didn't like any of them. They were fucking terrible. But she brought me 3 solutions. So that shows where she's thinking.
Yeah.
It will change their mindset and start the development of trust.
Yeah.
And trust is the most important currency.
And
there
don't
is,
get caught up in the ownership of the answer. That's another huge problem.
It takes a lifetime to earn trust. It takes
yeah.
a second to lose it.
Yeah.
So you want to always be your true self. And this is true in the metaphysical too.
Yeah, as soon as they show you who they are,
Yeah.
believe them.
Well, not only that, but just working with different entities, working with spirits.
Learn how to work together.
Trust,
Yeah.
it goes there too. You put in the work. You don't just lollygag along and go along to get along. You
trust the process.
you're not triple
Yeah.
D walking through this,
Yeah.
do-de-do.
That's what we tell people all the time. You do the magic, trust the process,
Yeah.
and then please fucking forget about it. Okay? If you keep machinating on it over and over and over again, days after you've done it, guess what? Every time you stop and think, did I do this? Was this right? Da, 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 da. You have restarted the entire process. You
Yeah.
are back to square one.
Think about, put it in perspectives of your job. If you were going to your boss every 5 minutes going, I really want to do this, but I'm scared to start it. Mm-hmm. Where do you think their trust level is going to be
Yeah.
with you?
What do you think you look like?
Not that the
Yeah.
spirits are your boss, but maybe some are.
Yeah.
And so have that approach. Have that, okay, this is the outcome. Set a goal. This is what I want. This is what I want to change. This is what I want to expedite. This is whatever.
Yeah.
What is the best way to do that? Okay, and do the research, do the work. Do the meditation, do the calls. And when that inspiration hits, and when you find something that you read somewhere, and it doesn't even look, even in the fruitiest of books, there still could be a kernel of truth.
Oh, God, yeah. Read everything.
And you may look at the cover and it's shiny and stupid, and you're a serious occultist. You should still probably read it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you need to incorporate it, but you should still probably read it because
If for only the reason to debunk it. Yeah.
That, and
Yeah.
you could stumble upon something where they actually fucked up and stumble on an actual point.
Yeah, and had a good philosophical moment somewhere in the middle.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, some of the people we used to work with, we wondered why the company kept them there, because every 25 years they might have a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a really good ROI either, but being open to new information, but not open to readily accept every bit of information is a good plan, I think.
I do too.
And applying that, the things that I learned in the different roles that I've been in to the metaphysical has been beneficial too.
God, yeah.
I don't see Bloody within a corporate cubicle somewhere where there are, flowers and whatnot. But that's not it. But it's more of how can I How can I fix this? How can I make this better? How
Yeah.
can I improve this? How can I improve my relationship with her?
And it has made you more succinct in your matter of speech, too. Matter of speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it now. We think about you and I both, having come from the corporate structure. Think about, the pitfalls and where the loopholes are, and if we left any open holes, and if there's any place that somebody can sneak through. And so, when you're crafting a ritual and you're thinking about your ask,
oh, that's a good point.
yeah,
that's a really good point.
You're closing all the loopholes, and you're making sure that your language is very succinct.
Yeah.
That you're not leaving any room for interpretation, because when you're in corporate and you're crafting coursework, you're making sure that there is no room for interpretation, that it's bam,
Right.
bam, bam, bam. They click it, the script pops
Yeah.
up. That's exactly what they say. It leaves no room for error.
You know how many meetings I've been in with legal where we spend hours going over a paragraph just to make sure that it's not offensive.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's not derogatory.
Yes.
It's not too high-minded where people are going to be turned off by the complexity of the language.
The flowery idealism language. They
Short,
hate
sweet,
that. Yes.
simple, to the point, brevity of speech.
Yeah.
You can always tell somebody who is brand new to the business world, or really the world, because
the 3-page letter.
Because when they write an email, it should have a table of contents.
Yeah, so it's awful.
And I've seen people get yelled at.
Yeah.
Don't write me a fucking book.
Yeah.
Because when you're young,
Bullet
you have
points, bitches.
You
Bullet
have all
points.
this idealism bursting through, and you're full of wisdom, and you want to share it.
You know it all, and you want to give it away.
And it's paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and most bosses have about 3 to 5 seconds to
Of attention
review an
span,
email,
yeah.
because if you think your plate is stacked,
Their
and then they
bandwidth
don't
is-
do shit,
No, nil.
trust.
Yeah.
I saw my boss's calendar at my last company. I think he had 6 minutes between calls or trips or meetings or going to put this fire out. And while he's, his whole calendar was just colors.
Yeah.
There was no breaks.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, I thought I was bad with my, 25 calls a week, but
Yeah.
I ain't got shit to do. Yeah, it was kind of okay, all right, I'll just calm the fuck down.
Yes.
Because I was in one of those cognitive, block moments where I'm like, man, I'm doing all this fucking shit, and you don't do nothing. Motherfucker, he is balls deep in this
Yes.
shit. Yeah, and so, yeah, that was a sobering moment, but you just never know what that other person is going through.
No, you don't. It's all about perspective.
It is.
Yeah, and the thing about that,
In brevity of speech.
yeah. Oh my God. And I'm still bad at that, even though I'm not in email. And people get mad at me and think I'm mad at them. I'll fire off a text, and my texter, I realized the other day looking at it, somebody was upset with me, and I was like, yeah, I was kind of flat. But I was just trying to get them an answer really quick.
Yeah.
And this is what we do in corporate. Like, my boss would say, if you can't bullet point it out, don't you dare damn send it to me.
Yeah. Because I ain't got time.
Yeah. I need to be able to look at it and see it all in one shot and push it off my plate to somebody else.
Yep.
Because,
I learned to do 1 or 2 sentence emails.
Yeah, oh my God. So that's me in text.
One sentence instant message.
I really didn't mean to insult you, and I was not mad at you.
No, not at
No,
all.
I was just trying to get you an answer as fast as I could, I promise.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it's just muscle memory at this
Yeah.
point, because like I said, you can tell somebody who's brand new because they write that novella.
My agents, oh my God, just make me crazy. I was like, I would call them and go, can you break this down?
Yeah, just short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah.
Just so I can put the fire
Yeah,
out.
I don't have time to
move
read all
on
this.
to the next fire to put out.
And she got incensed, and I was like, I have 250 tickets I have to look at right now.
Yeah.
From agents all over the world, just like yourself, who need answers
Yep.
for class and for structure. And oh my God, what? I
Yeah.
said, this is just my typical morning. I'll have more by end of day.
And
There'll
that-
probably be 300 more today.
And that's not counting emergent
Yeah.
events that
No.
pop up, and you gotta drop everything and put that fire out because
Yeah.
it's a forest fire.
And
if
then
you don't.
office hours
Yeah.
are insane. I've had people drop out from being in corporate and not wanting to be in those facilitating positions because office hours are in between every class.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to do all your paperwork and get through your ticketing and get responses to these agents and
Absolutely.
return calls to clients. And it's like, holy crap. I was at 16-hour days there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I worked hard in the manual labor job, and I did.
And, yeah.
It was physical work.
Yeah, but I'd rather do that any day of the week.
But it was a lot easier for me, we got to go put this motor in. It's hot as balls. So we got to, work 15 minutes on the dryer, come down, get some water, go back up, work, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Because your boots will melt.
this is the most horrible fucking job ever until I got incorporated. And I wanted to be right back up on that dryer with my paint bucket and my tool belt and not worried about what Sally in Singapore thinks about my email.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's the VP of whatever the fuck. Yeah. And that was another thing, working for a global company. I was up at 2 a.m. because of European or Pacific time.
Yeah, you have to be there.
Asia, APAC.
For their time.
You're there.
Damn your time, John.
That's your
it's
role.
their time.
And look, and I have friends that work on the West Coast, but our business hours were set East Coast.
Yeah.
So they were up way earlier than the rest of us, getting phone calls at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., having to be on calls and expecting to be chipper.
Yeah.
When they work till midnight their time the night before, it's hard.
And corporate
It's
can't
hard.
think about what time you get up.
And they
have
don't
to
care
think
about your feelings.
They have to think about time zones all over the world and make sure that we can get these 30 people on this one call together at this specific time.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
I was one of those people that had the misconceptions about white collar positions. Like,
Yeah.
you motherfuckers don't do shit. You sit in front of a computer all day. You hump a desk.
Yeah.
I'm out here walking a cell block with convicted felons that are trying to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
And fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, different perspective now.
Yeah, very different perspective.
Because I've walked the shoes.
And I think the hard part for me was I worked from home when we lived in North Carolina, and we lived in the backyard with my parents because we wanted to be there to take care of them because they were getting old. They were getting on up in age, and they didn't think I worked. You don't do a real job.
You don't have a real job.
Yeah, because it wasn't manual labor. And I was in a position where if somebody heard you in the background, this is when I was still independent, but if somebody heard something in the background at your house, you got an audit for it. If you got 3 audit strikes on having noise in your background, you were done. Your contract was cut.
Yeah.
And my dad would bang on the walls of the house.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I even went out and told him, she's working. She ain't doing nothing. Yeah. She's paying the house note.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
She's paying your taxes.
And your property taxes. So what do you need? Oh, I need help with the remote.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Just banging on my house. Like, it's really goodness gracious. Dad was a button pusher. Not just my buttons, but any button.
The remote control was his nemesis.
And I love my daddy. My daddy is my heart to this day.
Yeah.
He's been gone since 2020. But yeah, he couldn't work a remote. He would push every damn button on it trying to get it to do what it would do. And they got these fancy dancy new cable remotes where you could record all your shows. Well, one day he's got like, I don't know how many recordings going at once, and he can't switch the channel. And I was like, Daddy, you've got too many things recording. You don't have an open channel to switch to. I didn't hit this button. I'm not recording anything.
Oh my God. I remember. I was their IT tech. That was lots of fun. Can you look at the computer?
Yeah, we used to have to rebuild their computer constantly.
Control Alt Delete. Okay, it's fixed.
How do I fix this? I'm in the middle of business. Unplug it.
Okay, so you hit this button, and this button, and it's going to restart. What? Okay. I wrote it down. Wrote pictures.
Yeah.
Control Alt Delete.
I put stickers on the keys, John.
Oh, my God. See the plug in the back? Pull it out. Count to 5. Plug it back in.
Yes.
Hit this button.
Yep.
That's the power.
Yep.
It's like turning the lights on.
Yep.
But you break it down, to where they can understand it.
Yeah.
Or hopefully understand
it. It was crazy. Like, I had to tape the remote. Like, I took a little box and taped it over the bottom of the remote where you couldn't hit the record button anymore. Oh, my God.
But look, all those things contribute to emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You're a product of time and circumstance. You're a product of your experiences and your environment.
Yeah.
And so when you put yourself out there in those varied environments, your perspective is also going to be varied. If you live in the same town your whole life, you do the same job your whole life, your perspective is going to be dramatically minimized, reduced from someone who has lived in multiple locations, in multiple neighborhoods, or the rural area, or the city area, or they've worked blue collar positions. You know, people that look down on service workers have never done the job.
Right.
You can always tell a former service worker because they treat other service workers with respect.
Yes.
Because they know what that feels like to be working that drive-through window, or trying to fit a fucking shoe 3 sizes too small on a fat ass woman's foot that insists what size she is, and she ain't that size. But you don't want to piss off a customer.
I'm a 7.
And you're trying really hard to squeeze this Capizio onto this big dinosaur pad. Like, honey, you could win the swimming contest with your fucking flip. You don't even need flippers. You know? But it's all in your head. You're like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll see what we have. No problem. You know, but those different perspectives, they make you a better person. You treat other people better. Whether you get sucked into the social media vacuum and forget about it, remember that. Remember what it was like to be the service person. And if you're a service person now, remember where you're at right now and what it feels like when a customer treats you right or when a customer treats you poorly.
Yeah.
And remember that when you've moved on to bigger and better things, to always, you know, hey, thank you. Please.
Look beneath the surface.
Appreciate you guys, you know, and that's why we're so appreciative of everyone. You know, whether you agree with us or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
We're still appreciative because we've been in your shoes.
And you're taking the time to discourse with us.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's huge.
Just maybe not for 3 hours.
Because people don't do that in this world anymore. They fire off an email or a text message. You're actually coming in to spend your time.
Yeah.
To talk face to face. And that is so courageous and so fearless and so appreciated.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's authentic. It's authentically you. It's not you hiding behind your keyboard playing keyboard warrior.
Or prancing around like you're Sabrina the whatever.
Yeah, you're coming in and you're stating your opinion, and you don't even care. Some of you are so great, you don't even care if your opinion gets shot down. And that's how you've got to approach this life.
That's how we learn.
Yeah,
we learn from each other.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we got to be careful with our tribalism, that we don't get locked away into a group of yes people that are just going to support our opinion.
Yeah.
It's really important to move out of that, because if you surround yourself with sycophants, you're going to get stuck,
and they're going to drain you,
and you're going to end. The end result is misery. The end result is loneliness, depression, anxiety, because you will run into someone that goes, no, that's not correct, and here's why.
And this dark view of the world that makes you us and them.
I hate
on
that shit.
everything, and it's not us or them. Look beneath the surface. Look a little deeper. They're angry and they sound mad. They sound crazy. Go look why. Go look at why they're angry. Don't listen so much to their words or watch their actions as look for what lies beneath the surface. Change your perspective. Change your perspective and look a little deeper. We need to do the same with ourselves. A lot of people in this industry like to call it shadow work. Change your perspective. Take a look in the mirror. See how you're choosing things that are actually injurious to you. See how you're choosing to put people in your life that are replications of people that you failed with in the past. And stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know, they call this, she's looking for a father figure. He's looking for a mommy. Mm-hmm. You're looking to have a relationship with mommy or daddy that you never had, and you're looking for that in other people. And so you're choosing people that remind you of that mommy or daddy, and that mommy or daddy were toxic and did a lot of damage to you, but you think you can fix it with this person. Well, let me remind you of one thing in life that I learned a long time ago that was probably the hardest lesson for me. You can't fix anybody.
No, absolutely not.
I always wanted to fix everybody because I'm a healer by nature.
They have free will.
Yeah, and I wanted to fix everybody I loved, and they broke my heart because they wouldn't listen to a damn thing I had to say, even though I knew exactly what I was talking about. I knew how to do these things. I knew how to feel better. I knew how to make them feel better. I knew how to fix them. But they wouldn't listen. The student's not going to listen until they're ready. And you can't fix them. And if you've got somebody that you're thinking about being romantically inclined with, and your brain is going, oh, he does this or she does that, but I can fix that.
Yeah.
You better run, you idiot.
Yeah, that's not the reason to get into
Yeah,
it.
no.
No.
Yeah, if you're seeing absolute flaws, absolutely, then there's nothing you can do about that. They haven't grown to a space in their life where you're going to find them comfortable. Mm-hmm. And you need somebody that'll challenge you in conversation. But you don't need somebody who will challenge you in life, spiritually and physically.
Or challenge you in every conversation. Or nitpick. Or critique on everything. Those are toxic, too.
You need somebody you can be quiet with.
Yeah.
And especially at the end of the day in corporate, when you've been talked to by 300 freaking people and every single one of them with a problem that you had to fix, you know. That it's all on you and they're coming directly to you for this, that, and the other thing. The only thing you want at the end of the day is a mate that you can go sit on the couch with and just stare at the wall together. And they're okay with that. They're comfortable. They're not, are you okay? What are you angry about? Are you mad with me?
Yep.
Do you know how fucking exhausting that is? So you are picking mates out of the ideology that you can fix something in your past. Let me give you a clue. Fix the something in your past first, and you will attract the right mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the negativity comes because of choices we make most of the time. Sometimes it is an entity, but I'd say 98% of the time.
At least.
Yeah. It is
very high percentage.
It is your choices in life. Yeah. It is, bad choices that you've made or people that you think are your friends you don't even realize you've surrounded yourself with that are actually ill-wishing you behind closed doors and smiling in your face and causing you all kinds of grief, you know, or people that just have really low energy themselves, negative energy themselves, and they're literally draining you psychically. They're a drain on you psychically because they're pulling you into this black pit of morbidity with them.
It's very similar to, what we went through in August where I had the health scare.
Yeah.
And it was a change in diet.
Yeah.
It wasn't medication per se.
Yeah.
The primary mover there was a change in diet.
Yes.
And it's akin to relationships. Maybe you need a change in diet.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a change in that environment.
Yeah.
You are in what that environment is literally keeping you repressed and keeping you down by
Absolutely.
Constantly repeating the same cycle in the same way, in the same place with the same people and expecting different results.
Right.
It's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
So change it up.
Yeah.
You know?
And that person with all that toxic positivity that you were trying to be around because you were hoping that
well, you're pulling the energy off
their
of them.
positivity would raise you up too, and you would get in that mindset, and then you realize they may be faking it. That's not attainable or sustainable.
And your subconscious will give you that hint, and you don't want to you put that thought away.
Yeah.
Like, no, they couldn't possibly, because you're becoming like a psychic vampire, and you're feeding off that high energy person.
Yeah.
It's fun. They're fun. They're fun at the bar. They crack people up. We have a great time. But when you go to have an actual human interaction with them, it's emptiness.
Or judgment.
Or judgment.
Yeah, that you're not positive enough, and they're always pulling you down and telling you how you should be positive and how you should make positive affirmations and how you should, be pleasing in your attitude and be pleasing in your appearance and all this crap that's it's not sustainable. It's a means to an end. It's a means to depression and suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
Because you feel like a failure. Because how do they do it? I guarantee you they're not doing it behind closed doors.
No.
They're not.
No.
They're not. They're just being their human self.
Yeah.
And whether they're miserable or not behind closed doors or whether they're just really quiet when they're not around other people.
Yeah.
They're not doing it all the time. There are methods that will make you more positive, like meditation, like introspection, like, quiet.
Positive thinking.
Positive thinking, but positive outwardly all the time. Like,
It's just not natural.
Yeah, it's not natural, and it's not sustainable. And you need to stop judging yourself by their measure.
Yeah. The same with the constantly negative.
Yeah.
And, like I said, we are a product of time and circumstance and our environments,
Yeah.
And so you have the options at all times to change those.
Yes.
You can change your environment. You can change the circumstances that surround you and the time that you spend with that circumstance.
Absolutely.
And people ask, how do I make it positive? That's the fastest way. Look, we can sell you stones and smudge sticks and teach you how to do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and all those things help.
Yeah.
We won't say that they won't. They do.
Because
they're tools.
They do raise your energy. Yeah.
But the most important thing, the most important shift is the shift of the self, the way you think,
Shift in mindset.
the people you associate with, the habits that you have. If you're locked into a screen all the time and you don't ever come out and actually interact with people, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're creating this false sense of security and putting yourself into a self-imposed bubble. And that may be fine for temporary, but over time, over an extended period of time, it's very detrimental.
Yeah.
And I'm an introvert. I have a very difficult time. When I first started working, I had a really difficult time because I've always been an introvert.
Yeah.
But I have to put on the extrovert mask to do it, and it's exhausting to do that for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. It's exhausting, but I do it because it's necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't get locked into that. Like when we go home, what do?
Flop
On the couch. I play my video game for a while. I hug the puppy for a while, and
But we're mostly quiet.
That doesn't mean that's what everyone has to do. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it's an unwind. I'm with my person. I'm with my person who gets me. I don't have to put on an act. I can be who I am. And I'm not putting on an act per se. It's more of a way to engage.
Yeah. Trying to be more open.
Because if you're
really
introverted
hard.
behind the counter, no one really knows how to approach you.
Yeah.
Right? It's
You're trying to be more
it's not for my benefit. It's to make people more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I've been on the other side of the counter from an introverted person, and it was really awkward.
You need to try it sometime if you're not trying it now.
Yeah.
If you're wondering why your life is hell and why it's hard, it's because you're thinking about yourself too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need
Always
to-
put yourself in that other person's shoes.
Yeah.
And it will serve you well. And we timed this for a Bialtana podcast. We haven't talked shit about Bialtana, but it is kind of, look, Bialtana is, spring.
New beginnings.
Spring is in full bloom, new beginnings, fresh starts. So it's a perfect time for this conversation, and it's a perfect time to think on it. It doesn't mean you have to do anything.
To plant the seed.
Yeah.
Plant the damn seed.
So if
That's
you're
what this time is all about.
If you're unhappy or if you feel like, you're constantly having a string of bad luck, pause and maybe take a look at what you're in, what your environment is. Who are you surrounding yourself with?
Who are you trying to please? Why are you being a people pleaser? Why aren't you being a you pleaser?
And to remember what our grandparents said, in that, it's always cyclical, and this too shall pass.
Yes, it shall.
And no matter how bad it is, no matter how insurmountable the circumstances seem to be, this too shall pass.
Another question to ask is, in 100 years, will this matter?
Yeah, my dad used to say, 100 years from now, they'll never know the difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, I heard him say it so many times that I never really thought about it.
Took it for granted.
And I got a little older. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty fucking wise.
Yes, it is.
It kind of sent me to Carl Sagan's pale blue dot theory. Like,
how big you are in the matter of the universe.
Does it really matter?
Does it matter?
What was that movie we saw where he's like, aren't you worried when he was a spy from Russia and he was going across a bridge?
The Bridge is the name of the movie, yeah.
And he's like, aren't you worried what they're going to do to you? Aren't you worried that they're going to shoot you? Aren't you worried they're going to throw you in prison? And he looks at the Tom Hanks character and goes, would it help?
Would it help? Yeah. This is a good question to ask yourself.
Would it help?
Would it help if I was mad?
Would it help if I was worried?
Would it help if I was judging that person?
Things are gonna happen beyond your control, and your only choice is how you will either react to it or don't react to it.
And your lofty idealism, let that go, guys.
Oh, that's a trap.
It is a total trap. And your need to speak it to the universe and to the world. Speak it to yourself. That's where it really works. Speaking it to other people just sets their teeth against you.
Yeah.
So speak it to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and speak that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's the person that really needs to hear it. If you want to know the truth, when you're in that mindset, it is because you need to be in that mindset for whatever reason, for whatever it is you're battling, for whatever it is you're trying to heal. Speak that lofty idealism unto yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we were all guilty of it.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
God, we all do it.
And-
It's terrible.
and it's
and you catch
still-
yourself doing it, and you get sick. You're like, oh shit.
It still creeps up. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing per se, you know, but it's
Yeah.
something to address and
Yeah.
something to be aware of.
Yeah, it
But
is.
Anyway, we will be closed Wednesday, just as a reminder.
Yes.
Just this way, this store closes twice a year, other than snow days or sick days, on Bealtaine in Samhain.
That's
so
it.
that is May 1st and October 31st. And we do that because, look, this place was dedicated day one to our gods, our ancestors. And we feel that, you know, the sacrifice of financial gain is a pittance compared to spending time with them.
Yeah.
And
Honoring
spending,
them, thanking them.
you know, so that day is dedicated to observance. Look, it's nothing fancy. You're not missing out. It's a bonfire and food and
Yeah.
probably some whistle pig.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
just, you know, chilling out and recognizing the day. I think that's one of the most important things. It's not so much what you do or how you do it, but the fact that you are actually taking time out to recognize that day. You know, I mean, we're on an agrarian cycle. That is the way our holidays work. And so this is the full blossoming of spring. Some traditions have different interpretations. And that's great. It's great. Ours is that. This is the point of the year when spring has come back into her power, and we take time out from our business, time out of our personal lives. We make the trek up to the top of a mountain, and weather permitting, we have a fire and fellowship and just some time with the gods, some time with the ancestors, and I value it very much. There's been a lot of years we haven't been able to because of weather conditions or you know, personal stuff, but we always make it a point to honor the day, and if possible, we try really hard to do that in a sacred space, or, you know, a space that's special for that.
You
know,
are the fruit of the ancestors' will,
Yeah.
and you are standing on their shoulders. You should really think long on that on these days, and be thankful for it, and grateful for the fortitude that they've instilled in you.
Yeah, I know I am.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
So happy Bealtaine in Beltane or Beltina if you celebrate.
Or May Day.
Or May Day.
Yeah.
Or happy hump day, I guess, if you don't do anything.
Don't forget to wash your face in the morning dew.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
beauty the year through.
Thank you, guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Weeds, and we hope you didn't have to pick too much pucker brush off your cloak after visiting with us here. If you liked the episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. And if you're really kind, leave a positive review. Be sure to tune in next week as we publish a new episode weekly. If you're in the area, stop by the store and see us. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.